And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, another installment, another season of Coach's Corner with Sean Guerriero. And guess who gets to pull the short straw this year? It's yours truly, DJ Yoakley, hanging out with the old head ball coach, one of my favorite dudes. Sean, you and I had a lot of conversations over the summer. Not a whole lot accomplished from those conversations. A lot of laughs, usually on your side. But when you look at all the things that happened this summer, all the things that transpired, coaches are getting ready for football season, obviously. How did you spend your summer?
How did I spend my summer? Well, it first started off with the Penn Ohio game, and I guess that's how the conversation started off with me and you. So it seems like it's been a quick summer, not too much time to relax. But I know for myself, in doing the Penn Ohio game, I thought it'd be quality time for our staff to. We have some coaches in some new spots, so we thought it'd be a good idea to try to get those guys accomplished and get a game in with those guys in some new spots. And it was a good 2 weeks. Great group of kids for that. It was very enjoyable. Very happy that Ohio was on the W side. So with that, then it started. The focus started on the Tigers, and we trying to be there. You know what I mean? Try to focus on us. You mean ever since that point. So I think our kids have had a great summer. I think with the senior class that left us, a good senior class, and that's what talent and leadership. There's a lot of room for us to grow, and our kids been doing that. I mean, there's been some ups and downs. There's been some bad days and some good days, but we just got to make sure we challenge our kids every day to make sure that we get the best out of them.
So the question I have for you, and forgive me if I've asked this already. I think I might have done it during the broadcast, but you talk about the Penn Ohio game. What were the different challenges as a coach to prepare for a game that you didn't play for 2 weeks necessarily, but you didn't have the players that you're typically accustomed to, as opposed to being a coach for Springfield and having your same Warriors week in and week out for 10 weeks?
Well, I think with that, it's you got to make sure that you're going to be organized in AllStar games. I mean, all around. You want to be able to make sure that you get kids that show up. Two, and that's something you got to keep it simple. You're not going to be complex. In calling the offensive game, you got to think, okay, if we have 50 plays that we're going to call in that game, how many plays do you need to have to be successful? So you try to condense a lot of stuff. Keep the we kind of ask the kids, do you want to go with the number system? Do you want to go with words, just to try to keep it simple? And the kids, have some positive input with those guys that have played in it. There's been a lot of kids that have played a lot of football games, and we had a lot of high quality kids. And in the 2 weeks, you want to try to find out who the playmakers are and make sure you get them, the ball. Obviously, the advantage of our point is we had, 6 guys from Springfield. West Branch I think we had 4 from there. South Range, we had a couple. So we had some good quality kids, and not just staying in those 3 schools, but all around we had great quality kids that showed up to practice, that worked hard, that had an open mind. And we try to, at that point, try to make sure we play all the kids. And if they all put those 2 weeks in, you want to be able to make sure it's a good experience for everybody. We were fortunate enough to come, to come out on top. But the kids we had to, obviously, the Nick from West Branch, Wilson, that kid was legit. And between him and Bo, it was kind of easy to say, okay, that's who we want to get the ball to a couple of times. And I don't know, he had to have, close to 100 yards receiving. I think he had 2 or 3 touchdowns. Yeah. So you want to be able to make sure with that, you just got to find the playmakers you want to get the ball to, try to get them in one-on-one situations and let those kids do what they do.
Yeah, you were in a really unique situation, you and your staff, because as an all-star coach, you were able to kind of put a bow on an era, no pun intended, essentially on an era of Springfield football that not many people are going to forget. What was it like for you to have that front row seat and your coaches next to you to really usher out one era of Springfield football and really be able to say, hey, it was awesome to do this one last time?
Well, for him, and again, you kind of for Bo, it seems like you don't want to get in his way. You don't want to screw it up. The stats for that game for him, I try to go every other series with him, so he didn't play the entire game, but his stats, you wouldn't have thought that. I think he was 14 to 15. Mm-hmm. I think he threw for like 260 and rushed for another 60 or 70. So I just want to be able to make sure that we got him in good situations, make sure he knows the read, make sure that, you know what I mean, in that game too, there's not too many coverages, but you just, again, keep it simple and let Bo need Bo. I don't want to get in his way and try to be too complicated for him, but I mean, on that, you just got to give him the ball and let him go. He can showcase himself, and he's a great football player, and he's smart, he's intelligent. I just try to let them go on that when you put other athletes around that. And I think that was kind of the thing that has made us go so far. As we had a supported cast for Bo. So people couldn't just go 9 to the box and say, okay, we're going to stop Bo, because next thing you know, he's slinging around to 2 or 3 other guys. You know what I mean? That we had quality other athletes around him. And I think that's why we actually made our run. And like with the line, even, you always got to, you know, talk about our line. Our line was, at that Penn Ohio game, was, I think we probably averaged 270. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I coached that game another time, and I think it was 2014. And it's hard to get linemen, but this year it kind of matched up where we had the linemen with the skill, and just want to, like I said, keep it simple and let the kids do what they do.
So, you know, after doing this for 14 years, the change is inevitable, and there's going to be players that come and go. This is a new era, as we talked about, of Springfield football. There's a lot of people that are counting you out already because you don't have 21 under center. You're taking that as kind of a rallying cry this year. You like being the underdog and being the guys that are not unknown but undiscovered potentially. Is this new for you, or have you been in this space before?
Well, no, you know, I mean, with the success that we had over the couple of years, I mean, when you talk about Bo, and again, we talk about, I mean, the senior class or even the past 2 senior classes, we've had some great athletes. With that, I think one thing that we always have credited, and you're always going to lose some quality kids through your program, and which we have done. But it seems like, at least in the past couple of years, we've always had kids step up, whether they were a 1, 2, or 3 year starter. And now it's time for other kids in our program to step up. And I just had the conversation with Colton Rourke and Shondell Gardner today. I kind of pulled them aside. I think they're having a great summer so far. We're going into our last practice tomorrow before doubles. I'm going to give the kids a couple days off. And I just told those guys where they both have strengths, where Shondell is going to be a little bit more mobile. Colton is strong in the pocket. He, I mean, has a great arm. And they both have, like I said, unique strengths. But those guys aren't going to be Bo Brungars. Those guys don't have to be Bo Brungar. Those guys have to be Colton Rourke and Shondell Gardner. And they're going to have to showcase on what they do and how they play. It's okay for them to be themselves. And that's what I want our kids to feel comfortable with. They don't have to try to replace Bo. That's, I mean, I think with our whole team, we got a lot of kids we need to replace. I mean, between guys like Aaron Groner, who played tight end, who was awesome, Zeke Worsenscroft, AJ Stallsmith. I mean, those guys are all kids that were 2, 3 year starters for us, that had motors up front, that could move people and do it. But now we got, I mean, the Austin First, the Tyler Young, the Thomas Shealy, those kind of kids that are going to have to fill those shoes for those guys up front. So that's the challenge of our kids, to making sure that they can end up rising. Lucas Totillo is another one in there who started last year and had a great year for us. And the same thing with our skill kids. I mean, Shondell Gardner was one of our better wideouts last year, and he's going to have to, whether he's playing quarterback or wideout, he's going to have to accept that role and make sure he's the best wideout he can be. Dylan Shealy had a lot of snaps, so I don't want to put too much pressure on our guys to act like it, but we just got to take a step back. And when we talked about winning, you know what I mean, state championships, maybe we start with league championships, or maybe instead of scoring touchdowns, we're focusing on getting first downs, keeping the, you know what I mean, second and short, second and, you know what I mean, 4 or 5. That's what we got to do. So we just got to pull back a little bit and not act like we need to score 60 points, you know what I mean, a game, or do that. We just got to try to win football games and put our kids in good situations. And I think for us, it's I mean, the kids, I think we got all-time high right now of 62 kids on our football team. So that's exciting. We got a lot of positives through going through our program. So we just got to make sure we keep our positives going, and just keep the energy up, and let our kids know it's okay to make mistakes. You know, I mean, we're not going to, we have a tough schedule, weeks 1 through 3. And then we're going into our league. So I just want our kids to know, that we don't have to win a state championship in the first week. I mean, last year, everybody talks about the success that we had, but nobody talks about that we lost the South Range by 20 week 1 last year.
So from that standpoint, I was going to talk about your schedule a little bit, but I appreciate you diving into it. There's a lot of people over the summer that were scratching their heads about a lot of it. You guys actually moving down from Division 6 to Division 7. How do you think that affects maybe not just the mental state of the Tigers, But does that give you a little bit of a jet boost, knowing that it's a little bit of change? It's not so much the same as it was, but a little less pressure for these new guys stepping in to have to live up to. They can kind of write their own story at this point, can't they, in Division 7?
Well, correct. And like I just said, we don't, in our first 3 games, we don't have to win a state championship. And I think with the kids that we had back, I think there was some pressure for us, you know what I mean, to go out and be 10-0 and to try to doing that. And I say with this is we just got to make sure we get better every week. You know what I mean? In division, I mean, any of the divisions out, you mean, legitimately, can we make it at 3-7, 4-6? Yeah, probably we can make it. You know, I mean, do we want to be 3-7, 4-6? No, we'd like to be 10-0, but we just got to keep our focus on weeks, you know what I mean, week 1 right now, and then focus, you know what I mean, week by week. I don't want to get too far ahead of our kids where they're thinking, oh, we've got to already think about playoffs and home field advantage and things like that. We got a long way to go for that. We got a lot of work to do before that even happens. So I think our kids are focused on that too. I don't think they're looking too far down the road. And you know what I mean, you go to D5, D6, D7. There's a lot of good football teams in those divisions. So yeah, we go from Mogador to JFK, or you know what I mean. There's been a ton of schools. So are there schools out there in Division, you know what I mean, 7s that are established and ready to go? Yes. So we just got to make sure by week 11 or by week 12 or 10 or whatever, we have to be the best Tigers team that we can be by that point.
So naturally, since we're going to do this every week, we don't have to take 20, 25 minutes to do it. But what is the biggest challenge that you feel the 22 Springfield Tigers are going to face week 1 to week 10 overall?
Well, I think the best challenge we're going to face is in between weeks 1, 2, and 3. And if our kids can stay together and stay positive, because again, we got a tough schedule and never know what's going to happen, or you never know what goes on. So could we be, I mean, could we be 3-0? Yes. Could we be 0-3? Yes. But if we can stick together through this grind of the first 3 weeks, I think by week 10, we could be a very good football team. We got a lot of kids that I feel like what you said earlier want to feel like they have something to prove. It's their time to play. It's their time to shine. And they're taking that on. And I think that's a good challenge for our kids to who's going to be the next kid that's going to score the touchdowns or throw the touchdowns or get an interception or make the, you know what I mean, game-winning tackle or whatever it may be. So our kids want to be, you know what I mean, fill the shoes of those seniors. So I just think we got to stick together for these first 3 games. And it's going to be challenging for us because I think this is probably the most challenging, you know what I mean, first 3 weeks that we've had, and probably since I've been there. So we just got to stick together and be positive and make sure we get better every week. And I think if we can do that, I think we'll give ourselves a chance, you know what I mean, for the league and by week 10 to be able to make a playoff run.
All right, Sean, it's time to take a step off the field and off of the X's and O's and ask you my favorite question, the off-the-wall question, being that you just got done cutting your grass and it is the last week in July. It's Christmas in July, my friend. What was your greatest Christmas present that you've ever received?
Oh my goodness. I don't know about that. I would probably, I'm gonna have to go to my wife, because a long time ago when we first got married, we got engaged on Christmas. And when she said yes, I mean, my wife is, and that's why I was cutting my grass, because if she's not happy, nobody's happy. But she's been a blessing. She's let me coach football and do what I do for a long time. And that's something that I've been blessed with, a supportive wife, and she lets me go and she supports me in everything I do. So that by far would be the gift of for myself, to be able to just have her in my life and be at that point, because she's a great mother, a great wife, and God, I love her dearly. So that would probably be my best Christmas gift at that point, would be her.
Okay, so I got to ask a follow-up question, because my wife's birthday is Christmas Eve, and I know that if I don't get her separate birthday presents and Christmas presents, I'm in trouble. So when you popped the question, was it just the ring, or was there another Christmas present that went with it?
I got her clothes or something like that. I think we were too young at that point, but no, it wasn't just. I wasn't a one-hit wonder.
That a boy, Shawnee.
No, but it was a good time, and I mean, I was. Cripes, I think we were just graduating college. We were married when we were both 24, so we got married young. But I think it was the best move that she ever made, so it all worked out for the best.
Coach Guerriero, we appreciate you so much. I'm looking forward to spending time with you this season. Good luck moving into week 1, and we'll be there for you.
Thanks very much, DJ. I appreciate you.